Damn you switch pod. The boys are back.
Yes,
How are you,
sir.
Chris?
Quarters. Oh, man, the house is dirty, man. The house is dirty, it's only the living room that's clean, so I'm not too happy.
Yeah, there were no clean sweeps this weekend, like we thought there would be, at least for the home teams. But unless we're here to deep dive into that, the Dan Carters of podcasting.
Oh,
We
yes.
Lions, we got the win. We got the win. I'm happy, like you said, that's the only clean room in the household. And as you can see today, I'm paying tribute to our scrum coach Dan Human. I had to bring out the hat for the last episode as well. But I think let's start with your boys. Sharks versus Glasgow. We knew going in what to expect. I think the Sharks themselves also knew. They sent a second team basically, um Curry Cup team. I saw that being thrown about. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're gonna see a few of these guys in the Curry Cup. But at last, the thing for me is there was some box in that team as well. You can't discount the
yeah.
fact that there's Grant Williams, there's Cohen Bosch, Ngunu,
Mkunu's a
Janchi,
bog.
Fenta. It's not like there's
Mm.
just one box. There's a few of them there, but they couldn't put together a performance, well, at least in the first half, to
Yeah,
to show some kind of spirit.
yeah. Look, first off was absolutely trash from the Sharks, It looked like it was going to be a long night, to be honest. But again, the second half, it's a different picture. They fought
But
back.
no, 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 no. I don't like that one. I don't like that one where
No,
people are like, no,
hold
we
on.
won in the second half. We
No,
kept
no,
them
no.
scoreless.
No.
I
I'm
don't
not
like
saying
that.
that. I'm not.
I, I don't like that narrative. I don't like that narrative because also they are cruising. They're cruising nicely. They take their foot off the gas. Then you want to say, you know, I,
Yeah.
I just don't like that.
No. I hear you. I hear you, Coders. But all I'm saying is that, where was that in the first half? That's what
Yeah,
I want to get to. Is that they had a bit more endeavor in the second half. They had agency, the execution was much better. But we can't hide away from the fact that there are a lot of guys that but they just for me it was just trash. In the midfield there.
yeah,
I'm sorry, but Franz Afenta, look, for somebody that's a bulk experience, that was poor performance
yeah.
from him in my view. You know, it just didn't work for them. Poor. It was just poor, especially that first half. And you can't go
Yeah.
away and think that you're going to get a result or you're going to try and fight back in the second. Especially against a top of the table team like Glasgow that plays, that intensity that they play with.
Yeah, they were
Almost
playing with that urgency. You saw the quick taps. That's what got them.
yeah,
They they're trying to catch you unaware. They play at that pace. Even for the one try, half the team was busy. They were busy in a scuffle over there, and guys are going
yeah,
over for the try. So they're trying to catch you out. But I will, okay, what I will say is that they had a terrible first half by all accounts, but 2 minutes to halftime, it's 14-5. They can
yeah,
go in 14-5. It's two scores behind. It's really one
yes,
score behind, because once you get
yeah,
that try, 2 points, what is 2 points? So you feel like if they go in at 14-5, the game is still there. But you switch
yeah,
off 43rd minute, now it's 21-5, the game's over. So,
yeah.
it's
It's
just
it's
that
done.
that thing that they couldn't close out the first half was the most disappointing part. They had, I think they had more 22 entries than Glasgow had, but they just didn't get any points.
Yes,
They couldn't retain possession once they
yeah.
got into any kind of attacking position. The mall, I don't know how they scored from the mall because the mall was disintegrating. They still managed to score. So, I mean, congratulations for that. The scrum was also not dominant at all.
And
Glasgow were
wasn't.
closing them down. But for what a poor performance it was, for them to go in at 14-5, I would have been happy with that. I would have,
Yeah,
you could have then that's when you start saying, okay, we potentially in with something here, but the last 5 minutes, because it went into a bit of extra time there,
extra
game
time.
was
Yeah,
over. And the guys were looking gassed in the first half.
yeah. they just looked so flat, and then you look at when the changes came in, within the second half, and you saw the value of the guy of certain guys, when they've come on, they made a difference. So there's a bit of a difference, attacking impetus there. Uh,
Yeah.
more the ball carries, when Chituka came on as well, I felt he gave them something there in terms of his carries. Even Vincent Koch, where you actually see his value as well as a tight head. He showed up the scrum,
Yeah.
made it a bit better. They had a bit of a better platform, but it was really too far gone. And yeah, look, there's really nothing else to say than that. It's just the story of the Sharks season, especially in the URC. And yes, we were sort of expecting that, but there was hope. And it's just disappointing
Yeah.
to be honest. It's just disappointing that they couldn't make it something better for themselves. But alas, it's the story of the Sharks in the URC.
Yeah, I think everything's gone into Europe now. That's they've pushed all their
It's the
chips
last
into the
hope.
middle of the table. They, in terms of even marketing, they're trying to get guys down there to watch that game. Everything, even leading up to this game, it seems like all the marketing is going towards that game. It's almost this is an
Yeah,
afterthought.
yeah,
So,
but
it's
I
clear
must
where
say,
the
like,
priorities lie. And I will
yeah,
say Plum is a
yeah,
man. I just want to add that Plum is a man under pressure because Johan Ackerman's come out and said that, I miss home. I want to come
yeah,
home. I'm looking for a job. Are there any jobs available? There's two guys that puts that under pressure. It's Cash van Rooyen and it's going to be Plum.
yeah. Look, it is going to be Plum, But that being said, I think guys like Conerall, he
Yeah.
showed up for me. Hobla,
He always shows up.
he's been consistent. He's been you know giving it his all. I felt Mavesere had a good you know he definitely he was getting about trying to make an impact. Williams, I think he was just he was trying to get the tempo going, but it just wasn't there. I mentioned Francois Fent. I thought that he was, yeah, he just at and
He
again,
needs to pack his bags and leave for Japan like Van Rensburg did. Let's be honest. He needs to pack his
yeah,
bags and
look,
also just go into the quiet nights.
yeah, look, yeah, I think it's tickets for him because you saw the difference, when Ethan Hooker came on, Masuku came on, Bosch, for the way that he plays, it's the way that he plays. There's nothing else that he can do, especially at 10. But we saw the difference when Masuku came on, Ethan Hooker came
Yeah.
on, Chituka came on, Koch came on, there's Van Heerden, Emil Van Heerden came on. There's a bit of a difference there. So as much as the URC season for the Sharks has been terrible, they still got something there for the Challenge Cup. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's where the hopes are now. So yeah, that's the URC for the Sharks, man.
Yeah. Moving on to the Lions, Lions versus Leinster. Cash had a plan.
Hey,
Cash
no,
had
they
a
cashed in.
yeah, he had a plan. Yeah, he said this is not chasing the sun. And this I feel like they should have got the same result last year. They should have got the win against the weakened Leinster side that they sent on tour, but they lost. And I
Yeah,
feel like this was an even stronger Leinster team that they sent on tour this time.
yeah,
And this time the Lions were able to do it. Granted, the Lions have gotten better in the past year, and I think a lot better in the past year. So I
yes,
think this result shows kind of where they are, and it shows the
yeah,
improvement, season for season, and the fact that they are still in the hunt for a playoff place. And it shows, I mean, here Vandenberg 9 again moved Nohamba back to 10, and Nohamba at
10,
10,
yeah,
the vision, that's what we saw from the first try,
difference.
the
Yeah,
slickness of passing, the second try
mm,
as well. If you watch the second try, you can see him identifying the space out wide and setting up his
yeah,
backline and getting the ball out fast. Third
yeah,
try is it's his intercept. So when you're talking about him playing scrum half, as someone who watches the Lions religiously, I have to say his best rugby is coming at 10, not 9.
At 10. Yeah, he's playing. Geez, he's way better. Playing way better at 10, and not to say that he plays badly at 9
Yeah,
either. He's just made that. Honestly, for me, he's made that jersey his own at the Lions, and the Lions just look so much better with him there on attack. But again, it's credit to their pack. They work great of that
yeah.
pack. Guys like Willem Alberts, even at his age, he's still collecting he's still collecting bones. Emmanuel Chituka as well. I think he was pretty big in this one.
Yeah, man of
You
the
get what you
match.
get from Yeah, you
50,
get
he
what you
made
get from
50 meters. 50
yeah,
meters. That's half a rugby pitch. In and it's not
yeah,
easy yards. It's not backline yards. Some of these it's some hard yards in there.
yeah. And you get what you get from Franco Horn. I think that eighth man, perfect link man for the Lions. He's just when he's there, that with ball in hand, he's got something. So yeah, you can't really. You look at their back line. They settled.
Yeah.
With that 9-10 combo. And with the pack that works hard and the way that they blitz Leinster. And you see Leinster weren't it wasn't necessarily an easy game. The scoreline you'll say, no, the Lions had it easy. It wasn't.
Yeah.
They executed better. They capitalized on their opportunities and they were clinical, and that's what got them that fast start. And once they were ahead like that, it was just too much for Leicester to be chasing. So
And
credit to
the
them.
team,
And
the Lions, they know who they are. They know their
yeah,
counter-attacking side. They know they're all about finding space. In the beginning, it's all those tries, it's all about width, it's all about the passing, it's all about
yeah,
the quickness of service
yeah,
that you're getting from the forwards and you're also getting from Vandenberg. So it's the
yeah,
Lions know who they are, and they were playing against a side that doesn't play together. And
yeah.
they're doing backline moves for the sake of it. Where the Lions,
Mm,
we're trying to catch you up. We know what we're doing. We know the guys know what they're
yeah.
doing.
They
You're
know
playing
what they're
against the
doing.
team.
They
Yeah,
know who they are. Then also defensively as well. For a large part of
yeah,
that game, you just saw. I think it was one of the better Lions defensive performances for me, because they knew exactly what Leicester would bring, because Leinster are a threat. Especially if you allow them to pass that breakdown and start getting that momentum. Any team, but with the precision that Leinster play with, so you have to take your hat off to that defense and the work rate of that defense, and
yeah,
especially even when the subs came on, they didn't miss a beat. The Lions, it just they just kept on
yeah,
going. So yeah, look, that's why they really are the pride. The pride of Joburg. They're the kings of the weekend this weekend by far. Just in terms of Leinster's no joke. Regardless of whether it's a BEC team, they've got a good program over there. And yeah, look, you,
yeah.
you have to give it to the Lions. You have to.
Yeah, it's like Reeling Ace was even saying they've got their own mini bomb squad, which everyone is obviously trying to emulate. But the fact that he
Mm,
was driving home was that when we take off our starting front row, we
mm,
don't want to drop off. And I
yeah,
think that's evident in certain teams where, like for example, the Sharks, that starting front row versus the second front row, there's a big difference when it comes to
big
scrum time.
one.
In the Lions,
Yeah,
that difference isn't as big, So I have to
yeah,
say, that's good coaching because some of those guys weren't necessarily known as real heavy scrummages, but that drop off between the bench and the guys that are starting isn't very big at scrum time there.
yeah.
Another guy,
Minimal.
Cronje, came in for Henko Fenter, and it looks like he's gonna have to close out the season at 13 Fenters. I mean, Henko van Veek, sorry, is injured again.
Yeah.
So, he's gonna have to carry that load, which he's done well so far.
Which he did is done well so far. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's just like you mentioned that you see Tlabaganya coming back, and you see how valuable he is, and
Yeah,
you're starting to see him as a ball carrier as well. More of a threat to stay on his feet. There's a lot of good things to like about the Lions. We've been saying it from from the get-go since the season started that this team can do something. Although it's tight in that log, from I think from 8 to 11, it's
Yeah,
very tight.
especially with
So
Ospreys winning, but we'll get to
yeah,
that.
but yeah, it's credit to the Lions. Good coaching, good selection, and that's a team.
Yeah, the only other thing I want to say is that, you know, because of the Wales test falling outside of the test window, you've got guys saying Ches and Colby must play 10,
Nah,
Ox must move to 3. And Clavacani is there, Nohamba is
Clavacani is
there.
there. Mm,
These guys are there. Why not reward them for the performances that they're putting in? Siamasuku, I've seen his name thrown about. I think it's a bit of a bridge too far in terms of he just started putting out together a string of starting games for the Sharks. So to put him at
yeah.
that next level, I think it's if the season was longer. But to me, I don't know what you think. To me, Nohamba is the man.
Look, look, Nomba's the man, yes, because I think he's been in the mix before. But I still think Masugu gets a look in. I think he still gets a look in because, a 9-10 combination of Nahamba Masuku for me may, that's also tantalizing, as well. So I wouldn't be averse to that. But I get your point, in terms of that he's just recently been stacking up those consecutive games for the Sharks. But for me, then again, when you look at what he's been doing
Yeah,
when he's played those games, that I think that also gives him that look in, So
yeah,
argument for both, for argument for either or, but Nahamba, of course, in that context, maybe the front runner, but I still say, a 19 combination of the two. I would like to see that. I would like to see that.
yeah. I won't lie. I want to see Nohamba play 10. Even the Williams going back to that Sharks game, Williams he looked like a first team player playing with the second team. So I feel this the scrum halves we've got them there. We've got them there. But
Yeah, we do.
anyway, let's move along. Bulls versus Munster. It was it was always going to be tough. Van Staden wasn't there. Kusia wasn't there. Nokia wasn't
Yeah,
there. And I feel like they really felt that throughout the game. And it was nervy in the beginning. It was stop start. Both teams weren't really
yeah,
firing. I feel like the nerves got the better of both of them. I feel like it was passes weren't sticking. It just
yeah.
nothing. Munster in the first half, especially, they came out. They would obviously being the wayside, they would feel better about the performance. But I mean, even them, it wasn't really
It
going well for
doesn't.
them either.
It really wasn't. It wasn't the best game of rugby, if we're being honest. And even with the Bulls were not the normal Bulls that loved us. Take that regardless of the red card. If you look at, you know,
Yeah,
even just the possession and territory that they were giving away is silly. And the pressure, the pressure of the kicking game from Munster as well. Smart kicking
yeah,
game. They couldn't really handle that, and they don't really have a proper response to that. Although we saw glimpses that when they space that the Bulls can take teams out wide, and take those opportunities. But
yeah.
yeah, look, I think they'll really be kicking themselves, honestly speaking, because yes, Van Staden wasn't there, but you didn't have your big hitters, especially in the pack. But the guys that were there, you'd have expected that. Listen, they would have taken that opportunity to show,
Yeah,
to say, listen, I want this jersey, I want this, and especially at home. And yeah, it just became a bridge too far once that yellow came in. Yeah, that red card came in. Sorry. And yeah, what else? What else do you say? You can't even say unlucky, because I think they're the
mm.
architects of their own demise in that regard. Because man, they didn't really pitch up. They really didn't for me.
Yeah, it was in patches. It was in patches, and Munster were also matching them physically. They also don't mind a dogfight. You've got Omani
Yeah.
there that he's well versed in the dark arts. He should have
Mm.
got a yellow, I think. they were rolling nicely, and I felt like they were. I felt like it was a scoring opportunity, and he
Yeah,
just disrupted, at the breakdown there. So I feel like he should have got a yellow there. Hussein, harsh.
unlucky,
You know,
unlucky.
he's and I mean he was rolling. He had a few good kicks. He was making those snaky runs.
Yeah.
He was showing some stuff there, but unfortunately, then you got Snyman that's also causing problems back at
Mm.
his old home ground. So I just feel like they just didn't settle into the game,
Yeah,
and to me, from what I've seen, a weakness of the Bulls is that, especially I saw it again in the Stormers game and the Lancers game, they dropped their heads, and it's almost. I'm even thinking, is it a lack of leadership in this game where
yeah.
nobody's, because even in
Mm,
those games,
mm.
those guys were playing, but they were able to snap out of it, get some phases together. Then okay, no, once we can put together a line out and we can put together a few phases, then the confidence builds back. It builds back. It
Yeah,
builds back. So
yeah,
I don't know if the leadership was missing this time, but I have noticed it's one of the things where you look at them after a team scores a try and their heads they just drop.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree with you there. And look, going back to that horse and red card, I think just at the wrong time for them.
Yeah.
Uh, on another day, it goes a different way. It's a good tackle. It's a good read from him. He does it right. It does, follows the law, the dips and everything like that. And, it's a try the other end, the Bulls get that momentum and, maybe they still go on and win it. But again, going back to your point, even in that situation, that leadership, because there's a time, after that red card where it was just there's a sort of there's a lull. It was about who was going to blink first, because
Yeah.
just evenly matched, and you felt that that is the time where you needed somebody to stand up and say, okay, listen, yeah, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to play, get these guys, and just let's just choke these guys out and win this game. At the end, it should have just been about let's just get over the line, and unfortunately they couldn't. But I don't think they'll be disgusted with themselves after that. Because it was there. The opportunities was there, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, I think Moody is also finding it a bit difficult there at 13. He had that
Yeah,
1v1 as well, disappointing. He hasn't put together a good run of performances there at 13. I think the realities of playing there week in, week out is starting to set
yeah,
in. And I
yeah.
mean, it happens. He's a young player. You're just looking for him to bounce back, put in a better string of performances and learn from it.
But
So
but I think he's getting better. For me at the 13, I think
yeah.
he is showing improvement, although he's not quite there yet, but he is showing improvement, but yeah, I second that, it's tough. It's tough going there, the transition.
Yeah, Stormers versus Ospreys.
Oh,
I should have known. I should have known. Having watched the
the
Lions
biggest
versus the
disappointments of
Ospreys.
the weekend, the biggest disappointments of the
Yeah,
weekend for me, the
definitely.
Storms.
Definitely. And number one, I didn't like this team at all. There were 9 changes from La
Mm,
Rochelle. I didn't like this team at all. I don't it just on paper even. I mean they asked Mel Herber after the game, is this due to the changes? And obviously he's gonna say, whoever plays, you should. There's a point. You still should be winning.
yeah,
So they don't put it down to that, but I will, and I'll say some of those guys. I don't know what it is. Obviously, you have your rotations. They looking maybe at advanced data, minutes played, trying to rotate the
yeah.
boys and what and what and what. But surely, you have to put some better combinations on the field because it was a bit disjointed. They were still throwing
Mm,
the ball around like how they normally do, but it wasn't as sharp as it normally was. And then you've got
yeah,
mistakes like the hooker spreading it wide in the 22 to the eighth man. That's when Ospreys got the scrum to score from there.
yeah.
They're overplaying at times, and you're overplaying with the second team.
Yeah, I think they're victims of that. look, they live by the sword, die by the sword,
Yeah,
and and what a this was one of those the wrong game for everything to not work out for them. The
yeah.
mistakes,
The
giving
mistakes,
away
the weather.
giving away possession so easily as well. Especially when you're on attack. The kicks where Money usually typically gets those cross kicks on pinpoint, but now this time around, you know Ospreys, they did their homework and they were ready for the Stormers' shape, in terms of how they were playing and how they
Yeah,
look to get that kick out wide. And I also think the balance of the loose forwards wasn't well. I think that's where part of the problem came in as well, because you've got Russ was really the one that was with the ball carries. Baba looked like he was, focused really on the breakdowns, and you can see his value there and his work rate there. And then I think Mr. Diamond Man went a bit missing in this game, at playing in the 7 jersey. Yeah, it just didn't go well for the Stormers all around, and when once the Ospreys just got on a roll, it was tickets,
yeah,
man, and really disappointing from the Stormers, because at one stage you thought, no, look, regardless, they'll come back, they'll come back. This is what
yeah.
they
There
do.
was
They
that
go, oh,
feeling.
yeah,
There was
but
that
but
feeling.
this time around, it just didn't happen, because there was some good glimpses there. You saw there the midfield, that the try after half time, how they started on the roll, and you thought, okay, right, this is something's going to happen, yeah, and they just couldn't get that gear in, and
Yeah,
that's a shame, but again, I think it was bound to happen, and sometimes it's okay to be pragmatic and not play too much. I think, sometimes it really is okay, especially like you said, with that sort of, your B team in a way, so yeah, it was going to happen. It was
there's been
what a
signs, and the
disappointment.
thing is, Ospreys. One thing about
Mm,
Ospreys is they came in so confident. You could see the way that they were playing. They
mm,
it's almost a reverse of Ulster came in. I think about that game. They came in swinging and then they gassed themselves out. Ospreys, it was more
yeah,
of a measured approach and they were confident
yeah,
throughout. It was a sustained throughout the whole match. They didn't just
mm,
play for the one half. And I think, we can talk about riffing. I think the game got away from him a bit in terms of the breakdown as
yes,
well in the second half. I think the first half was fine, but the second half where things started to get a bit messy, I think he
mm,
swallowed his whistle. But I mean, again, you can't rely on
yeah,
referees to help you over the line. So,
yeah, yeah,
and I mean, even at the breakdown, I wasn't happy with Stormers. They're putting pressure on Ospreys even in their own 22, but you're giving away. What's the use of pilfering and putting pressure when you're giving away penalties? So I also feel like
mm.
there wasn't the discipline, there wasn't the
Discipline
patience.
hours there.
Again, I don't
Yeah.
know what it is about South African sides. We have so many entries to the 22, but we're not patient. We're not patient
Conversion
enough. So
conversion rate, and also I think, look, maybe we're lacking in a bit more creativity, because
mm,
everybody's doing their homework at the end of the day. Everybody's doing their homework. Is what extra are you doing, to make sure that, look, every time we're getting here, we're coming away with something. And yeah, look, the Stormers, they just, I think, try too much from too deep, you know, and decision making, there's certain aspects where you're thinking, in the first half, Hartzenberg,
yeah,
does he give that pass? Doesn't he give that pass? Things like that. So it's just those, once Osprey started getting those positive outcomes, after positive outcomes, it was too much for them. It's almost like Ospreys were playing almost a similar way to how the Stormers played, but on a more sustained level, throughout the 80 for me, because it looked like they wanted to play with the ball, but they said, listen, but we'll let you make the mistakes, and then we'll play,
Yeah.
and they got punished, rightly so. And that's for me the biggest disappointments, man, of the weekend.
Yeah, but let's go to the best part of the weekend, the finale, chasing the sun. It's like we won the World Cup for
Oh,
a second time watching this one.
man,
You know, the
man,
feels, it comes back, it hits you in your chest again. Like I said, I'm paying tribute to the man that
yeah,
the controversy with Bongi where they're saying he said some things, and
man,
I like the way the coach came out, no comments, no comments,
yeah.
no comments.
Look, but I mean, what are you gonna say? It's hearsay. You went there. You can't really
Mm,
comment. You don't know what's being said. You know, and I mean, at the end of the day, there was nothing found, and you can just see how it's always a matter of trying to disrupt the Springboks.
yeah.
It's everybody doesn't want the Springboks to be successful. It's us against the world. Let's be honest, and it will continue to be so. And we like it like that because we're gonna keep on making them cry. We're gonna keep on making them cry because I think what this the chasing the sun, what it's shown is that we keep on going back to that environment, the detail, how
Yeah.
they know what the outcomes, what they want out of every game and out of every player. Yeah, and for the players, to see just how much they've sacrificed, geez, you can't help, I myself, I've been critical of certain players, but after that, I went and I watched, there was a breakdown on YouTube
Yeah.
by Speed Rugby that was taken down after the final. When you actually see that breakdown and you realize, you know, regardless of what who's that coach Foster says, you know, All Blacks bottled it because they had opportunities to win the game, but you realize how tactically the Box just got it right, and they got
Yeah.
it right in the sense that it's a knockout game, it's just test rugby, and they identified what they needed to do and they executed it better, and the ability to adapt as well and just stay in the fight, like
And that's what it
this
was. It
the
was a fight. At the end, it
yeah.
becomes a fight, and it becomes this is literally a month's worth of rugby. Those guys, that's why their bodies were seizing up like that at the end, and they
Mm.
fought even when they're talking about not just making tackles but making those big hits. You saw the performance by Peter Steff. It just gives you a reminder of
Yeah,
that, how they were hitting guys. It just, to me, above all else, it does show their preparation and it does show the desire. Those are the two things. Because when it comes to skill
yeah,
level, I mean, the All Blacks are the All Blacks.
yes, but skill can only take you so far. That deep rooted desire, to want to win, but to work hard for
Look
each
at the
other.
team selection. At the team
Yeah,
selection, Dion Free is not wearing a shirt because he's rehabbing during the team selection during the week. It just goes to show that
yeah,
these guys, and I'm Sia. It's the same with Sia to get back to the tournament.
yeah,
That's how deep these guys are willing to dig, and it just
yeah,
those are the things. Even when you talk about the preparation, you talk about them discussing the 7-1 splits. I really like how they go around the table and they say, okay, give your point of view, give your point of view. It's
yes,
not a dictatorship. It's everyone gives their feedback, how
yes,
they call Cheslin in, even, it just even Felix Jones, even in the midst of all of that, he's telling the guys, you got about, what did he say, like 10, 15 rucks,
yeah,
you know, the level of analysis to say that that's all, because you can give emotional speeches that, you've got to fight, you got to fight, you got to fight, but
yeah,
when you're giving that combined with the analysis to say, you only
yeah,
got to give this amount, and then it's done,
yeah,
and then it's done, then it
yeah,
becomes a more manageable task. It's not some abstract thing that you
yeah,
must be thinking in your mind. It's like, no, I've just got to make these tackles, this amount of tackles, this amount of rucks, then it's over.
yeah. Yeah, but also that the how can I say the ability for the guys to be conscious of the fact of who they were playing against. Like Pollard and Etzebeth. You saw there that when they say, listen, these guys are going to come at us because they've
Yeah.
got nothing to lose, and they did. And they did, and you saw and you see the geez, man. It's yeah, it was just you're reliving it, but with those different lenses, you come to realize just how much these guys have given just for
Yeah.
us to be happy. As much as they were world champions, but just for us as South African rugby supporters to be happy to be backing even the URC teams to say, listen, go over there, go and do something, because
Mm.
you can and man, it's good to see. And you just look, I'm ready for number three.
Yeah, the
It's
three
gonna be a
peats.
tougher one. It's gonna be a tougher one for sure. But look, with with these guys that are still there, there's so much depth that if you realize how many world champions as this coaching group have they created really.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot. There's a lot of IP, XP in there, and yeah, we can be dangerous. Maybe we can get that dynasty that I've been calling for. I'm ready for that. I'm ready for that.
Yeah, the three peats is definitely that. So any closing remarks from you, Chris? For me, it's just we need that three. We need that three.
Yeah,
And we build that dynasty.
yeah. Look, all I'm saying is Asugu no Hamba 19 combination. Let's go.
Let's go. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.